But Morning Focus, as you've been hearing all this week so far, is marking County Clare's Men's Health Week 2026 with the theme What's Your Small Step, as part of a week-long series of activities, discussions and ways to take part. The initiative, supported by Clare County Council and the Men's Health Pledge, encourages men to make small, practical changes to improve physical and mental well-being. And we'll explore throughout the week how small, realistic lifestyle changes can make a meaningful difference. And today we're focusing on mind, food, nutrition and everyday energy. And joining us to do just that in studio, I'm joined by Cillian Keane, Ennis-based, from Mental Health Ireland, and from Ennis Leisure Complex, Jamie Fitzgibbon. Cillian and Jamie, very good morning to both of you. Thanks for coming in.
Cheers. Thanks, Millie. I appreciate it.
Delighted to have you both in. I suppose maybe we'll start with the initiative overall, Cillian, the Men's Health Week 2026, and it's been good so far, been covering various different aspects. How do you find it from your end in terms of raising awareness around men's health, men's mental health? Because a point that's come up, I suppose, across the week is, as a gender, we're either quite reluctant to, go get checked from a doctor, talk about our mental health. Maybe that's changing over the last number of years, or maybe get up off the couch and do something to improve our life. So is this week good in maybe highlighting that for fellas and maybe getting them to change their mindset?
Yeah, absolutely, Alan. It's so important, even just the promotion and the awareness of the week every year that it's held. And I suppose I'm coming from the aspect from mental health and development officer covering the Midwest, and I see like the promotion of the week is great, but just to get people involved, engaged and connected to the events that are happening locally around Clare. The purpose of the events that I'm doing, a webinar later on this afternoon and a Connect Cafe in the Ennis Library tomorrow, is to get people or men just talking around the topic of mental health, to increase the connection, reduce social isolation and reduce stigma as well around the topic of mental health. We all know how hard it is to talk around mental health, but that's the purpose of the work I do. But this week itself for Men's Health Week is so important, just to get events happening and get people involved as well.
Yeah, and I suppose, Jamie, when we talk about men's health, the first thing that comes to mind, I'd say, for a lot of people is physical fitness. That gets the spotlight, but it's important to look at mental well-being, as Cillian was outlining, but also nutrition and energy levels.
Yeah, absolutely. Like often it can be overlooked and people don't know a whole lot about nutrition strategies that people can use to improve their health. Like just making small changes, not doing anything too drastic, can definitely improve your daily energy levels, your overall health, and kind of help maintain a healthy weight. Yeah, also help fuel you for sport, different things, and exercise. It's a very important aspect of it.
Yeah, so maybe you can give us a few ideas in terms of small changes you can make, because I think when it comes to people changing what they eat and so on, they'd like to do it, but they think about it and maybe mistakenly think, God, this is going to involve a complete change in how I shop, clearing out my fridge and freezer and all of that. But I presume that's not the case. As you say, it's small changes. So what kind of things can start to make a difference in terms of what people eat and drink and so on?
Well, I suppose the first and very simple strategy that you can kind of implement would be to include, to have a balanced meal, to include protein with your meal, plenty of fibres, carbohydrates and healthy fats. If you do it this way, it'll keep you fuller for longer. It'll reduce overeating and snacking. The fibre and the healthy fats will help support a slower release of energy throughout the day, and then the protein will help maintain muscle mass. And then other things like that, eating whole foods, nutrient-dense foods, such as fruits, vegetables and whole grains, and lean proteins. They'll give you the vitamins you need. They'll give you those steadier energy levels throughout the day, but also keep you feeling fuller for longer, and they'll improve your overall health. They'll help your digestion, your heart health and your immune health. And then I suppose on the flip side of that is just limiting added sugars and ultra-processed foods. I suppose they're the foods that everybody likes. But I suppose these cause energy spikes throughout the day, energy spike and energy crash throughout the day. And then they're very easy to overconsume. So it's kind of harder to maintain your weight when you are eating those foods.
It's almost like the way you're looking at me, I had a bag of crisps last night before I went to bed. I'm feeling really guilty about that now. But I suppose there's kind of a link in terms of what both of you do, Cillian, because, Jamie's touching on changes people can make in terms of their diet and what they're eating. And I guess simple daily habits, what kind of impact can that have on our mood, stress levels and overall mental health? What goes into our bodies, I'm sure, plays a part in all of that too.
Absolutely. The link between physical health and nutrition, and just to make you feel good, eating healthy, nutritious food has a direct impact with how good you feel as well in the day to day. But I suppose the theme of Men's Health Week is one step at a time, and it's not to overwhelm ourselves with doing 5 or 10 things in the day. It's maybe starting with the smallest thing that you can do and being realistic in what we can do as well in the day or the week as well. For me, I know that if when I need to look after myself or check in with myself, I ask myself a question when I'm not feeling 100% or I'm a bit stressed. I'll just ask myself, how am I feeling today? And then the next question I might ask is, what can I do in this moment that will make my day a little bit better? So it's just checking in with how we are in the moment and maybe reflect on how we're doing and making small steps to move positively forward in the right direction again.
And stress is a topic that has come up quite a bit already this week around men's health, and be it, work, career, relationships, family and all that. There's so many different factors that can influence your stress levels, and it does seem to be a constant feature of modern life, Cillian. So what are some of the warning signs that stress may be beginning to affect our well-being? Yeah,
it's really, really prominent, and I think even just maybe being a bit more reactive, maybe being a bit overthinking, different aspects of stress can definitely contribute to our mental health. But I always look at the flip side of what we can do in the moment. So for me, it's just having one person, maybe a trusted friend, family member, whoever it may be, to offload what's on my mind. It could be journaling a couple of things, writing down what's on my mind and offloading onto paper what I actually feel, and then using maybe there's obviously different supports out there, organisations that you can link into as well to talk around our mental health. And that's really important, because we don't want to, I suppose, have the overthinking and the stress linger on. So it's important to link in with organisations or services that are out there to be able to offload what's on our mind. And I always feel that even just having one close friend that you can offload, that you trust, that would be able to relieve maybe the anxious or the stressful thoughts that we often feel from time to time.
And Jamie, you told us a little earlier on about realistic changes or things you can make in terms of what you eat, or just things you should look out for, I suppose. When you're picking things up in a supermarket, look at the back of the packet and see if it has whatever it might be a protein and so on, or fibre. What about physical activity? What are some small changes people can make to their physical activity levels that could make a notable difference to energy and well-being? And I guess that goes back to the point I was making about when people who would like to change what they eat and what they do, they start to think about it and go, oh God, but they think they have to sign up to a gym and start running up hills and all of that. But presumably it's small steps.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it will be small steps. I think my colleague John Carey will be talking a little bit about it tomorrow as well. But even simple things, just like having someone that you can go to take a walk with, getting extra steps in, maybe even parking a little bit further away from where you need to be, like taking the stairs instead of the elevator. Even just having a social aspect, like joining a five-a-side soccer or something along those lines, or even dads and lads. I suppose there's clubs like that as well for GA. Joining something like that, it would all help. And there's a bit of a commitment to that then, that if you have joined it, that you kind of have to go. But even just, I suppose, committing to going to the gym, just preparing and having a plan in place, no more than nutrition, having a plan in place for nutrition, that you have your bag ready to go for the gym in the morning. Little things like that can make it a little bit easier to go and to commit.
Things that will reduce you having an excuse not to go.
Yeah.
And can I ask you, can some people, and I know I'm guilty of doing this in the past, and it probably helps if you're at a gym or, to talk to someone who can take you through a kind of a simple plan. Some people think, oh God, what puts them off going to the gym is I need to spend an hour and a half there and do like 20 different things, when that's not the case. That's probably what deters a lot of people.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, even if you went in and even if it was the first day, you got inside the door and you did 20 minutes, it's better than not doing that 20 minutes. And like that, I know over in Active Ennis, like, we have fitness instructors there that will help you with those things. If they'll show you the machines and they'll take you to a program if you want that as well. But I think that's any gym. Like, there's going to be fitness professionals there. They'll be able to show you how to use this stuff. And then it's a little bit less daunting. You're not worried about going around a gym and being worried that you don't know how to use something and looking foolish. If you just ask someone and ask for a little bit of help, they'll really guide you in the right direction.
I mentioned earlier on, Cillian, that as fellas we can tend to, or maybe it's was going to say cliche, but it's obviously there's an element of truth in that we're reluctant to speak about what's affecting us. But maybe is that changing in recent times? Have you noticed through your work with Mental Health Ireland that men are maybe there's still some of them out there that are reluctant to talk about how they're feeling if things are getting at them or they're being down, they have to keep up appearances, or it's not macho to share your feelings, but maybe you're noticing more and more men are changing in that regard?
Absolutely. There is still a little bit of reluctance, but the work that I do with workshops and talks around the Midwest, I see more men showing up to these type of talks, which is great to see. And I can plug the ones that I'm doing tomorrow in the Ennis Library as well, because the purpose of it is a men's health and wellbeing Connect Cafe, to have a conversation around the topic of mental health, again just with teas and coffees as well. And that's the importance of trying to get men in the room to talk about it and connect with each other as well, just to, I suppose, normalise conversation around mental health, that it's okay to speak around it, that there shouldn't be any stigma around it, that it's important that we do speak about it, to share what we're feeling and share what we're going through as well, because it's better to say it than not say it, and then things linger on as well, around our mental health.
What role does self-care play for men, and how can people fit self-care into their busy schedules without feeling guilty that I'm taking time for myself and that's a bit selfish and I should be doing something, this, that and the other? Self-care
is so important, and whatever that looks like for the individual, it could be going for a quick walk, it could be just taking a few deep breaths if we're feeling stressed within the day. It doesn't have to be massive extravagant things. I think Jamie mentioned about the GAA, about being able to connect in with different groups, or the GAA itself. We all know how that brings joy and fulfillment into people's lives. So self-care could be going to a match in the evening, or it could be, going for a long walk on the beach in Lahinch or something like that makes us feel good and gets that sea breeze as well. So it's absolutely different for everyone, but it's essential in our day-to-day or week-to-week.
Yeah, I guess whatever works for you,
exactly.
if it has that effect. We spoke about caffeine as part of our chat on men's health yesterday, Jamie, and self-confessed coffeeholic here. Have one beside me. We're told that really by midday is when you should be finishing up, so I'm going to have to bring my clock back a few hours in terms of the last coffee I drink on a daily basis. But for people who rely heavily on caffeine or energy drinks to get through their day, what advice would you give to our listeners about maintaining energy in healthier ways?
Well, I suppose just even starting on the caffeine, there's nothing wrong with it as such. Caffeine is quite good for you, but like you mentioned, really having it past midday, it has a long half-life, it stays in your system for a long time, so then it'll have a knock-on effect in your sleep. So I suppose relying on it too much, it can kind of mask poor nutrition, it'll disrupt your sleep, and it can affect your weight and your energy. So you will have probably a little bit of a dip later on in the day. Energy drinks probably not so good. You may want to stay away.
You're being quite diplomatic there, I'd say. By not so good, you mean they're not good at all, or?
Look, these all have a place, but probably, you would want to limit them. I suppose that's all I say on that. Message understood, message received on that. How important is consistency? And I'll put this to both of you, and I'll go to you first, Cillian. How important is consistency compared to intensity when it comes to improving your mental health?
Yeah, it's doing the basics really well over time. Whatever we do for our own mental health, it's being consistent with it. We all have mental health, and it's individual what we do to make us content and happy in the day-to-day. So I think, consistency is really important, just to help and sustain our mental health, and just to feel good within ourselves as well, and to build on our confidence and self-esteem is really important, because that can dip at different stages of life as well, so absolutely.
And that kind of consistency over intensity, Jamie, with your end of things, I guess if you want to become more active and more fit, if you're talking about small changes earlier on, if people make small changes to physical activity and food, and they start to see those small steps bearing fruit, they're more likely, the consistency is more likely to come.
Absolutely, yeah. And like that, it comes from just having a plan in place. And it's a thing, it will go wrong. You will kind of, eat something that you shouldn't eat, or maybe skip a workout. But it's important not to let that completely slip away, that the next day that you get back at it and you stick to your plan again, that you don't dwell on eating the wrong thing or not getting that workout in.
Do you encounter people, or have you encountered people with the guilt of that first little slip kind of scuppers the whole thing for them?
Yeah, I suppose there's a kind of, maybe sometimes there can be an attitude of, oh well, I may as well just kind of
I knew I was never going to do this, or
so it's important just to reset and go again with it. I think that's the most important thing. And like that, not be too hard on yourself that way, and just to reassess and go back to the plan that you originally put in place for nutrition and for exercise.
Okay, brilliant stuff. Some great advice this morning, guys. And in terms of the Connect Cafe event and other things that are happening, Cillian, do you want to mention times they're getting underway, and can they just turn up at the door?
Absolutely,
do they need to register?
I'll give you some information on that. So we've a webinar this afternoon, and it's around building emotional strength and men's health conversations. So that can be booked on the Mental Health Ireland Eventbrite page. So it's on from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, and it should be a conversation around emotional well-being, emotional strength, and the importance of connection. So that'll be online. And then tomorrow is in the Ennis Library, which will be the Connect Cafe, Men's Health and Wellbeing Connect Cafe from 10:30 to 12. And just big thanks to Joan, the Healthy Clare coordinator, and the council as well, and the library for just the help in the organisation of that as well. It's always great to have more people to help promote and to get men involved in these type of events, and for the week as well. It's great. So
great to see these events happening, and the week itself is a great initiative, and we will have more on Men's Health Week on tomorrow's Morning Focus. But for the moment, from Mental Health Ireland, Cillian Keane, thank you very much. Cillian, appreciate having you in, and Jamie Fitzgibbon from Ennis Leisure Centre. Jamie, thank you very much. I promise I'll have a healthy lunch with no coffee coming up a little later on.